Hey y'all, I'm Juliana and this is Juliana Talks Films, the channel where I go through the process of producing and examining films. In this episode, we're going to be hearing some inspirational advice from Taika Waititi, writer and director of What We Do in the Shadows, Thor Ragnarok, and most recently Jojo Rabbit. I personally think his brilliance lies in his ability to tell complex and often psychologically traumatizing situations through his characters, through his very unique satirical comedic style. He's managed to rise in popularity in recent years, despite not having a formal film background or education. But upon hearing him talk about his films and his creative process, it's super clear that he's not in it for the fame and the money, but really for the art of it. He's slated to star in a movie dropping next year in 2020 with co-star Ryan Reynolds. The film's called Free Guy, and I'm really excited to see what kind of dynamic they both bring to the table, because I feel like Ryan Reynolds really has that very similar comedic style that Taika has. So that should be a really interesting film to watch. Anyway, without further ado, here are Taika's top 5 lessons on filmmaking. Tip number 1, explore different creative avenues and inspirations.
I mean, all I've got, guys, is creativity. That's it. That's my job. You know, at the moment, I happen to be a filmmaker, but it's not my job. It's just, my job is to express myself and to share my ideas and my point of view. It happens to be that I'm using filmmaking right now, but, you know, throughout the years, I've done lots of different things. I started off, my background is painting and visual art. I'm just going to zoom through all this stuff, but you know, so and it's varied from like the kind of like the serious and slightly sort of tongue-in-cheek and kind of sometimes political, but you know, always fun. You know, if I can try and make it fun, then that's, you know, that for me is what being creative is about. Is having fun and looking at life through like a sort of the lens of a child, really. This is a game I play with the newspaper on the sports page called Where Are the Indians? And they're everywhere in this picture. And so yeah, so I've just tried to kind of just keep generating stuff. This is a lot of illustration work I did for a while. This is really eating into my time. I did a lot of performance and stand-up, and then, you know, moved into acting and photography, and tried to go at fashion for a little bit. You know, tried my hand at animation as well, and basically, yeah, just I wanted to do everything, you know. So I wanted to like try every single thing. I come from like a background where people have said, "Oh no, you have to have one job and stick with it." Well, I don't believe that. I think that in this day and age, you know, people have things that they want to express, and you know, you need to have a wide range of tools. And you know, filmmaking, painting, acting, poetry, all that stuff, they're all tools. So I found that film happened to be an amalgam of all the things I was interested in, and so I explored that for the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and I think I've done quite well out of it.
Lesson number 2, failure is crucial.
So in terms of getting into film then, what was your initial exposure to movies growing up? It sounds like you came from a very artistic family. Were you also watching serious cinema at home?
Not as a kid. Yeah. Not as a kid, because why would you? But my mother took me to see Akira in 1989, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to take you to see a cartoon." And
she called it
yeah.
That's the way to get it.
And that was probably one of the seminal moments of my life where I realized, oh, you can mix these things up, and you know, and there's no rules really. And after that, I came to filmmaking quite late, so I was basically painting all through my 20s, and then about 28 or 29, I decided that one thing I hadn't tried was filmmaking, and I was doing a TV show in New Zealand called, I'm not going to say what it was called, but I was playing stripper, and
as you do.
As you do. And I was like getting my body waxed and stuff, and I was like, yeah, and I was sitting in the green room in like a G-string, eating cans of tuna, and I was like, you know what? I think that there's something else out there for me.
That was the moment.
Yeah, that was the moment. I remember sitting there, I was like looking at my ingrown hairs on my leg. I was like, there's got to be something more for me. know if it's my destiny to realize someone else's dream of making a TV show about a strip club. And that's when I wrote my first short film, was in that green room. So I have to thank that TV show for inspiring me.
So I think failure is a brilliant thing. It teaches you a lot of stuff, and you end up coming up with better ideas often when you fail at things. I think what's really great also is learning to embrace bad experiences, bad creative experiences, and watch bad movies, read bad books, and because all of that stuff sometimes it teaches you what not to do. And so, like for me, one bad experience I had was I played a stripper on a TV show once, I remember sitting around in the green room in my G-string thinking, why am I doing this? Just helping someone else to realize their dream. And so what I ended up doing was I started writing my own scripts and stuff in my G-string. And then a few months later, I made a short film, and then that went on to go to the Oscars about a year later. But I lost, so obviously that was a complete waste of time.
Lesson number 3, make the kind of work you want to see in the world.
I remember going to the movies as a kid and going to see Ghostbusters or Goonies, and just feeling so elated when I left the cinema and smiling and just feeling so good about life. And now you drive past cinemas and everyone's depressed when they come out. Life's horrible and depressing, and I just went and watched a 2.5-hour movie reminding me that life is horrible and depressing. I don't want to go and see that stuff at the moment.
Largely, you do mostly comedy. That's like what you're drawn to. That's what your
dare you?
Voice is. I'm so sorry. Pigeonholes you. But my question is, did you always know that was kind of what you wanted to write? And do you have any advice for people who want to write? Like right now, I'm writing something that's like very dramatic and tragic, but I feel like Stop.
Just
okay,
stop.
Just don't do it, eh?
We don't need any more depressing films. No, when I wrote Boy, the first version of Boy was super depressing and super sad, and Hunt for the Wilderpeople, the first version, was like just sad, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to be like Lucas Mooderson, I'm just going to make a really depressing film. I realized I don't know how to do that. I'm not good at that. And so I decided to just look at what I was good at, which is, I'm a reprobate, and I'm like don't like rules, and I don't like depressing films. Like I decided, I made a choice. I said to myself, "Do you really like depressing films?" And I said back to myself in a husky voice, "No." No. And then Jermaine said a really important thing to me when we were shooting what we did in the shadows. There was a point where we were like, we're turning like a 5-minute idea into a feature film. This is what we're doing. And he goes, dude, the world needs stupid shit. We need the ridiculous, because, who wants to go and see a film that reminds us about how terrible the world is? We just go on Twitter and let's just look at the news and save ourselves 2 hours. So I think we need an escape. We need these things to remind ourselves that we are stupid creatures.
Tip number 4, be authentic and find your voice.
I found confidence. I mean, I can barely say the word confidence, but I found the confidence in my comedic voice through testing out my stuff in front of audiences and doing a lot of stand-up and sketches and things, and then developing that over the years and finding my voice, but also finding my audience and finding what people responded to that I was doing, and making sure that it was stuff that I enjoyed doing. I didn't want to find my comedic voice and be doing nothing against Benny Hill, but imagine if that was my thing. People loved that, but I wasn't in love with it, and I was forced to do that style, which it's my style is so, I think, very specific to me, and a lot of my style is actually not even comedy. It's just sort of kind of weird light art, light drama in a way. So so if you look at a lot of my films, there's not a lot that. A lot of the time it's not full of jokes. There's like big. You might have 10, 15 minutes of the film where nothing funny happens, and it's just really sad. Usually the ends of my films are really sad. So that's I found my voice was a mixture of those two, trying to find a balance between that comedy and that drama. Trying to be as honest and truthful and authentic to yourself. That's when things are funny. When people who try to be funny and they aren't funny, that's a disaster usually. But when people try and do the lines as serious as they can, being themselves, then I think that for me is always hilarious.
Last but not least, tip number 5, get out of your comfort zone.
With all due respect, people who make films like yours in the past
Don't do movies like this.
Don't do Thor Ragnarok movies like this. Why did you want to do it?
I think because it was something unexpected for myself, something unpredictable. I just didn't. I was starting to feel like I might, be repeating myself. When I was editing Hunt for the Wilderpeople, when they gave me the call and said, would I be interested in this movie? And then they, it was just something that I felt like this could be a career ender in a good way. This could be something that, the idea of it makes me very nervous, and I know that when I've felt like that in the past, it's been a good thing creatively. Is
there similarities though? I mean, I'm kind of painting like it's two completely different worlds, like making more of an indie film.
They are very similar.
Like what?
And the way that you get into these things, the way that I could kind of make myself feel like I had something to offer, and that I guess somehow that there was an in for me creatively, was to think of this thing like an independent film. So when you look at the story, it's just about a guy trying to get home because there's a burglar in his house, right. And he's trying to get home. Across the, just happens to be across the universe. He's trying to travel. But this is really like after hours, set in space. He's like accompanied by his annoying brother and a drunk chick and this bipolar guy who's prone to temper tantrums. And if you think about it like that, just the simplicity of the story, that's my in. That's the way that I can figure out how to make these characters more relatable to the audience, and humanize them a bit more.
But were there moments really that you may have been a bit daunted, a bit like, oh my God, what am I after getting myself into?
Only the very first time that I really got the job, and I thought, okay, well,
But it wasn't walking on set and going like, oh,
no,
God.
no, and the reason really is because I've done a few big commercials, a few Super Bowl commercials and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, they're a pretty big deal when you shoot those things. Only thing is they're only a day long.
Yeah.
And this one,
they're 45 seconds.
85 days of shooting.
Oh, wow.
But we had about 9 months of pre-production and prepping. So I really got to know everyone, and you really just forming like a village. You're amassing all of your kind of troops and getting ready to go and to do this thing. So by the time it's day one of shooting, I was very comfortable with everyone. I knew everyone quite well. I like to foster a kind of a sense of peace and fun on my sets. So we play like a lot of music, and I like to create an environment where it's acceptable to give each other shit and to kind of a bit creatively feel like there's an open dialogue going on. So I encourage bad ideas. I encourage terrible ideas because I think from there we often find more interesting creative solutions to things.
Lots and lots of great information there, but I want to hear from you guys. What was the main lesson that you resonated with? Drop a comment below and let me know. I hope you guys found these tips helpful and informational on your journey through filmmaking. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I will catch you guys on the next one.
Alright, let's take it from the top again.